Have you joined us? This is News at 2 on Ogun State Television. I am Olayemi Takuro. Remember, you can watch us live on Facebook at Ogun TV, at Ogun State Television, on YouTube at OGTV Abeokuta, and on OGTV website www.ogtv.com.ng/live. For the latest news and reports, check us on these platforms on X at Ogun TV, on Instagram at Ogun State Television, or you can download the OGTV app on Google and Apple Play Store. And now the news. President Bola Tinubu has approved a minor cabinet reshuffle in the membership of the Federal Executive Council. According to a memo signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, two cabinet members, Wale Edu and Ahmed Dangiwa, are to leave the cabinet while their replacements have been named. Edu, until the latest development, was the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. He has been directed to hand over to Taiwo Oyedele, who is now to take over as Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. Oyedele was formerly a Minister of the State in the ministry. Also, Mutakwara Bedama has been named as the ministerial nominee and Minister designate for the Housing and Urban Development Ministry. The memo also directed Dangiwa to hand over to the Minister of State in the ministry. The memo stated that all handover and takeover processes should be completed on or before the close of business on Thursday, April 23, 2026. The close of business on Thursday, April 23, 2026. Explaining the President's decision, Akume said these changes are aimed at strengthening cohesion, synergy in governance, as well as achieving more impactful delivery on the economy to Nigerians through the renewed hope agenda. He said the President, in approving the Cabinet reshuffle, has fully exercised his powers as conferred on him by Sections 147 and 148 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The federal government has filed a 13-count charge before the Federal High Court in Abuja against 6 individuals, including 2 retired senior military officers and a 7 police inspector, over an alleged plot to wage war against Nigeria and commit acts of terrorism. The defendants, retired Major General Mohammed Ghana, retired Naval Captain Erasmus Victor, Inspector Ahmed Ibrahim, Bukar Goni and Abdulkadir Sanare, scheduled to be arraigned on Wednesday, April 22nd, before Justice Joyce Abdul Malik. Also listed in the charge, but set to be at large, is a former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timi Sylvia. The charge, filed by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and signed by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Rotimi Oyedepo, accuses the defendants of offences ranging from treason and terrorism to failure to disclose insecurity, intelligence and money laundering linked to terrorism financing. The prosecution alleged that the defendants conspired in 2025 to levy war against the state to overpower the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, an offence punishable under Section 37, subsection 2 of the Criminal Code. The federal government further alleged that the defendants had prior knowledge of a planned treasonable act involving one Colonel Muhammad Al-Hassan Mahaj and others, but failed to alert authorities. The presidency has trashed growing criticism and narratives downplaying the efforts of the Nigerian Armed Forces, insisting that troops are recording significant successes in the ongoing war against terrorism, banditry, and other criminal activities across the country. In the peace release, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, said recent security operations across multiple theaters demonstrate that the military is steadily degrading criminal networks even as personnel continue to make sacrifices to keep Nigerians safe. He noted that while isolated incidents of insecurity often dominate public discourse, they tend to overshadow the consistent gains being made by troops in the field. According to him, the recent operational reports show that security forces have intensified offensives against insurgents, kidnappers, militias, and other non-state actors, leading to rescues, arrest, and neutralization of threats in several states. In Benue State, troops of Operation Real Stroke rescued 13 passengers abducted along the Makurdi-Otupo Road after a coordinated search and rescue mission in the forest in Hoyimini local government area. The victims, including young candidates preparing for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME), were treated for injuries sustained during cavity, while authorities clarified that the attackers were local criminal elements rather than external groups as earlier speculated. In Plateau State, troops under Operation Enduring Peace conducted a series of operations that led to the arrest of 9 suspected ethnic militiamen in Riom local government area, alongside the recovery of arms and ammunition. The presidential aide called on Nigerians to support and appreciate the military, emphasizing that sustained public confidence and cooperation are critical to consolidating security gains and restoring lasting peace nationwide. Ogun State House of Assembly has passed a bill seeking to establish the State Education and Skills Trust Fund following the conclusion of its third reading at plenary, marking a significant step towards strengthening education infrastructure and skills development in the state. Similarly, a bill for a law of the establishment of the Ogun State Boundary Commission and related matters, as well as a bill for a law to make provision for survey and geoinformatic law of Ogun State, have scaled second reading at the plenary, presided over by the Speaker, Right Honorable Oludaisi Elemide. Correspondent Kolawole Osho covered the plenary, and the details of the report are presented in this package.
A bill for a law to establish Ogun State Education and Skills Trust Fund for rejuvenating education infrastructure and facilitating skills and for other connected purposes was considered and adopted after the presentation of the report by the Chairman House Committee on Education, Science and Technology, Honorable Yusuf Amosun. Amosun later moved the motion for the adoption of the report, seconded by Honorable Olakunle Shobukola, and was supported by the entire House members through a voice vote, after which the bill was read and adopted clause by clause before the Committee of the whole House. The House Leader, Yusuf Sharif, subsequently moved the motion for the third reading of the bill, which was seconded by Honorable Lukman Adeleye and supported by the entire House. Thereafter, the Clerk and Head of Legislative Service, Mr. Shakiru Adebaki, read the bill for the third time before the state lawmakers, while the Speaker, Right Honorable Oludaisi Elemide, directed that a clean copy of the bill be forwarded to the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dr. Abiodun, for his accent. In a related development, the Assembly also commenced legislative consideration of 2 separate bills which scaled second reading during plenary, aimed at assistance among communities with neighboring states. The bills include Ogun State Boundary Commission Bill 2025 and Survey and Geoinformatic Bill of Ogun State 2026. Opening the debate on both bills, the Chairman House Committee on Lands and Housing, Honorable Damilola Shoneye, emphasized the need for maintaining accurate land record, clear boundary definition, and a legal framework for survey activities to enhance urban and regional planning across the state.
If this bill is passed, there are key benefits to this. It will sustain peace and stability as well. It will bring efficient administration to boundary matters.
Other lawmakers, including Honorable Lukman Adeleye and former Speaker Olakunle Oluomo, supported the bill, noting that they would provide a robust legal and institutional framework, boost investors' confidence, and help resolve land disputes efficiently.
If this law is allowed to pass, Mr. Speaker, crises relating to state boundary issues, both interstate and intrastate, will come to reduction drastically.
But what we have is part of geographic information system. And the point of the bottom, everybody can know that this is a land reserved for farm. This is a land reserved for maybe technological development village or something like that. So, in fact, it is overdue that we have this type of bill.
According to them, the bills would help resolve boundary issues, aid land administration, and protect community rights in the state. In his remarks, The Speaker, Right Honorable Ludaisi Elemide, stressed that the effectiveness of the proposed law will depend on proper implementation.
You cannot just keep passing laws, and we keep saying the same thing or repeating the same problem or experiencing the same hardship. Even if we have laws, the laws should be properly implemented.
He thereafter committed both bills to the House Committee on Land and Housing for further legislative action.
On public infrastructure, the Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Ludaisi Elemide, has cautioned members of the public against indiscriminate dumping of refuse and misuse of road soldiers for dropping muddy materials, thereby hindering free flow of traffic. The Speaker gave the warning in response to the presentation by a member representing Shagamu 2 State Constituency, Honorable Ademola Adeniro, who reported the cases of indiscriminate dumping of building materials on road shoulders for months by some residents in his constituency and other parts of the state for months, which had continued to constitute a nuisance to road users. Kolawole Osho covered the plenary, and the details are in this package.
Member representing Shagamu 2 State Constituency, Honorable Ademola Adeniro, while speaking under a matter of urgent public concern at a plenary, sought the need for immediate action to prevent continued damage to public infrastructure. According to him, the practice had continued to damage road infrastructure, hindering maintenance efforts and affecting traffic movement in the affected areas. Reacting to the submission of the lawmaker, Speaker Right Honorable Ludaisi Elemide enjoined members of the public to desist from dumping of refuse indiscriminately.
We implore the members of the public to please desist from incessant dumping of building materials or every illegal items on our roads. Not only building materials, some people have turned our roadside to short. Even the walkway by the side of the road are being turned into stalls. All these affect easy movement of traffic.
In a related development, the State House of Assembly has passed a resolution adopting the report of the House Committee on Lands and Housing on the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, revised regulation to strengthen planning and development control across the state. The revised regulation included the Ogun State Building Production Management Regulation 2025, Ogun State Planning and Development Permit Regulation 2025, Ogun State Slum Regeneration Regulation 2025, Ogun State Outdoor Physical Furniture Regulation 2025, and Ogun State Layout and Land Subdivision Regulation 2025. The passage of the resolution was consequent upon the adoption of the House Committee report on lands and housing, presented by the chairman, Honorable Damilola Shoneye, seconded by Honorable Lukman Adeleye, after which the House leader, Honorable Yusuf Sharif, moved a motion for its adoption as a House resolution and was unanimously supported by all other lawmakers through a voice vote. Following the adoption, the Speaker directed that the copy of the House resolution be transmitted to all relevant authorities for necessary action.
In a renewed efforts to strengthen the quality of teaching and enhance accountability in public secondary schools, the Ogun State Teaching Service Commission has embarked on a comprehensive monitoring and screening exercise for teachers across the state. The exercise, which is aimed at evaluating the competence, credentials, and overall performance of teaching personnel, is also expected to improve efficiency and restore public confidence in the education sector. Testimony Komolafe's report is presented in this package.
Monitoring and screening exercise organized by the Teacher Service Commission is part of the ongoing efforts to improve the quality of education in public secondary schools across Ogun State. Teachers from various schools gathered at Lishabi Grammar School, where officials assess their credentials, performance, and overall suitability for continued service.
Well, the essence of this screening and verification we are doing now is first to help us in digitalizing the database of TESCOM, so that at a punch of our hands into our platform, we can have information about all the teachers in full. That's number one. Number two is to see physically the teachers that we're paying to, so that we see them, oh, you are there, oh, you are still there. So that, regularly, it is necessary regularly to check. Maybe some have traveled outside and we are still continuing to pay.
The TESCOM chairman said the main objective of the exercise is to digitalize the database of all teachers and ensure they are computer literate.
Is to be able to identify teachers that are not computer literate. The governor has given us opportunity to make sure that we train all our teachers to be computer literate.
The exercise also provided an opportunity for data verification and professional evaluation of teachers, reinforcing accountability and efficiency within the system. The Teaching Service Commission says similar exercises will continue across the state as part of its commitment to raising standards in public education. Testimony Komalafe, OGTV News.
The Ogun State's Waste Management Authority, Ogwama, has said it has shut down the Ijebu-Mushin market due to persistent unsanitary conditions. The agency noted the move signals a zero-tolerance stance against indiscriminate waste disposal and public health risk, Ikem Ago reports.
The Ogun State Waste Management Authority enforcement team shuts down the Ijebu-Mushin market. This follows repeated warnings to traders and market leaders regarding environmental hygiene. Agency officials observed that the market now serves as a breeding ground for refuse, creating health hazards for residents and visitors alike. During the exercise, Ogun State Waste Management Authority representatives explained that the closure is a necessary step to enforce sanitation laws and protect the public.
Not too long ago, the state government came and evacuated all the waste. But fortunately, we brought roro bins to them so that they'll be dumping all their refuse in the roro bin. Despite the fact that we have the roro bin in the market, decided to put their waste on the floor, which is very, very unhygienic. The state government felt that as a market, they should be cleaner than this. After several warnings, the chamber has no choice than to shut the market so that they can comply with the environmental laws. The second will not tolerate a situation where the market will be filthy, and you know that a lot of people come to the market where we sell their food stuff, a lot of things are being sold there. So we don't want any contamination among our people.
The agency reiterates that proper waste disposal remains a collective responsibility. It warns that other defaulting markets across the state face similar sanctions. Traders and stakeholders offer mixed reactions. While some acknowledge the sanitation lapses, others appeal to the state government for more time to comply with the regulations. Inkem Agu, OGTV News.
On the health sector, Nigeria is expanding its malaria vaccination program to additional states in a renewed push to reduce the country's high malaria burden, even as declining donor support and rising costs place pressure on immunization financing and distribution systems. The Executive Director of the National Primary Health Center Development Agency, Dr. Muyaino, disclosed this in Abuja. Ono disclosed this during the agency's first quarterly media conference for 2026, noting that funding comes from both federal allocations and development partners, particularly Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. However, he warned that external support is declining. Nigeria's malaria vaccine rollout has now moved beyond its initial pilot phase in Bayelsa and Kebbi states to include Bauchi and Ondo, following readiness assessment. The expansion forms part of a broader effort to integrate malaria vaccination into routine immunization, IMN high-burden areas. He added that operational costs for nationwide immunization delivery also represents a significant portion of government investment. Despite progress in expanding coverage, health officials say the malaria vaccine presents a unique challenge due to its 4-dose schedule, which requires consistent follow-up to ensure full protection. The Cross River State's government has confirmed a case of COVID-19 and activated emergency response measures to contain any potential spread. Commissioner for Health, Dr. Henry Egbe Ayuk, disclosed this in Calabar, assuring residents that the situation is under control and does not warrant panic. He said the confirmed case involves a 53-year-old Chinese expatriate who arrived to Nigeria via Lagos on March 17, 2026, and later proceeded to a factory in Akankpa local government area, where symptoms were first detected. According to Ayuk, the patient initially represented mild symptoms and has referred to the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, where samples were collected and the infection confirmed. He said the patient is currently receiving care at the state's designated isolation and treatment center and responding well to treatment. The commissioner explained that the government's delayed public announcements until diagnostic protocols were completed to avoid misinformation, stressing that the state remains vigilant in disease surveillance. State epidemiologist Dr. Inyak Peyong says the case is the first officially recorded in Cross River since 2022, noting that identified contacts are being monitored daily within the virus incubation period of 2 to 14 days. The All Progressives Congress has fixed May 16 and May 23, 2026 for the conduct of its presidential and governorship primary elections ahead of the 2027 general elections. APC National Publicity Secretary Felix Moka, who made this public, disclosed that in the ruling party's timetable signed by the National Organizing Secretary, Sulaiman Agungu, presidential aspirants will pay 100 million naira for expression of interest and nomination forms. Governorship aspirants 50 million naira, Senate aspirants 20 million naira, and House of Representative aspirants 10 million naira. The Independent National Electoral Commission has fixed the presidential and National Assembly elections for Saturday, January 16, 2027, while the governorship and state houses of assembly elections are scheduled for Saturday, February 6, 2027. The Commission also stated that party primaries, including the resolution of disputes arising from them, will take place between April 23, 2026 and May 30, 2026. According to INEC, campaigns for the presidential and National Assembly elections will begin on August 19, 2026, while campaigns for the governorship and state houses of assembly elections will commence on September 9, 2026. As stated in the APC timetable, the sale of forms will run from April 25th to May 2nd at the party's national headquarters in Wuse, Abuja, while May 4th is the deadline for the submission of completed forms. Moving on to the foreign scene, EU foreign ministers rejected calls to end preferential trade with Israel in connection with allegations of war crimes, highlighting persistent divisions within the bloc over the Middle East. However, the EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, said further discussions would take place, including consideration of a proposal by France and Sweden to impose tariff on goods originating from Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories. Ahead of the meeting in Luxembourg, the governments of Spain, Ireland and Slovenia called on the EU to uphold its moral and political responsibility and to defend the very core values that have underpinned the European project since its foundation. Kallas said there was insufficient support among member states for the proposals, with no change in positions to back either a full or partial suspension of the EU-Israel Association Agreement. And moving on to sports, the Super Falcons of Nigeria have despite edging up one place in the latest Women's World Rankings released. Nigeria moved from 37th to 36th position in the global standings, but the marginal rise masks a deeper decline in performance metrics, with their current tally of 1602 points marking a drop of 5 points in December 2025. It is their lowest point return since June 2023, when they were on 155 points ahead of the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Following that tournament, the Falcons enjoyed a surge, climbing from 40th to 32nd place. And just before we wrap the news, let us remind you, in the words of Nido Queben, says your present circumstances don't determine where you can go, they merely determine where you start. That ends the news at 2. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.